Okay, video 4 is all about blades and cutting. By now you've annealed your piece, you've made a design, and you've probably made a template. That template gets glued directly onto the metal, and then we start cutting. So let me show you our blades, where you get them, and how you load them into the saw. Typically the blades are going to be found near this red toolbox, which is located near my desk. It'll be in, on, or around this toolbox. The blades look like these. They're going to probably be inside a baggie, and there'll be 3 different little cylinders with blades. Whenever you come to get a blade, I would suggest taking 3 at a time. That way when you break them, which inevitably you will, you don't have to come up and hunt for more each time. So take 3 at a time, and we're going to have a tally marking system going on. You just mark next to your name how many blades you're taking. The blades are here. See if I can show you what one looks like. So this is a jeweler's blade. It is tiny and it looks like a piece of wire or string, but believe it or not, there are actually teeth on here just like a bandsaw. They're just really delicate, since we're making really delicate things. You can feel with your finger, one side is very smooth, the other side is rough. That's obviously the side with the blade, and going one direction is a lot more rough than the other. So your jeweler's saw is this. It looks like sort of a C shape. We load the saw with our blade, and then we're able to start cutting. So notice these little wing nuts. These are how you open and close the openings where the saw goes in, here and here. And then there's also this one in the back that allows you to close or expand the width of the opening. That way when you do break your blade, you can shorten it to work with that smaller blade. And we work with the blades until they are so tiny we can't work with them anymore. So we'll start with a little bit bigger. Let's see if I can show you down here. I tend to hold the back of the saw in my lap between my knees so that I have both hands free. So I may not be able to do that in the video, but let's see. So I've got it holding between my legs, and I'm going to load the bottom first. So I want the blades to face out, the little teeth to face out and to angle down. You'll be able to see this when you look really close at yours. So out and down, and I'm going to place them into the bottom, into the space between, if you can see, that little wing nut and the piece of metal here. This is the hardest part about seeing things when they're so tiny. So you place it in between your metal pieces, and then you tighten the wing nut to squeeze the metal between, or squeeze the blade between the metal. So I've loaded the bottom. The top is a little trickier. I want to adjust this back piece until when it's open, I've got a little bit of space between the end of the blade and the saw itself. When I tighten this wing nut, you'll notice that that space gets a little closer. And maybe I'm going to get even a little bit closer. I'm going to adjust and scoot this in a little bit, so that when this back nut is tightened, the blade is just about or just touching the end of this metal here. And then I'm going to take my, let's see if I can move you over here and show you. And then I'm going to take I have an edge of a table here. I'm going to push the blade, the saw, into the edge of the table while placing the blade between the wing nut and the 2 pieces of metal. Push it up as far as I can until it will kind of press and give a little and bend a little. While it's bent, I'm going to tighten that wing nut, and then I'll release it, and that gives me a tight fit, so that blade is in there really tight. You don't want to, if you're touching the back of it, you don't want it to be bending as you touch it. So that's how you load your saw.